What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our part 2 of building the bottom end of a AWP block. I am actually doing something at the moment, so just give me a second. But thank you everyone for tuning in for this live session. It's very important to me that you guys learn this because this is a really good and easy skill to learn. And I'm going to get there in just a minute. Once I get this one piston ring settled in here. There we go. All right, one full set of piston rings installed. Give me a second here. God, this ad is long. All right, so what are we learning today? We're gonna gap some piston rings, and we're gonna show you how to do that. It's super simple, and we're going to do it on cylinder number 4. All right. A little too loud. But please, thank you for tuning in, everyone, for being a part of this. I love teaching, so we're gonna learn. Now, number 1, I've already done the cylinder 1, 2, and 3. We are on cylinder number 4 right now. What's going on, everyone? Welcome. And then the way that we do this is super simple. And then we're gonna learn. We're gonna gap the piston rings, and then we're actually going to use the piston ring compressor and push them down in, and we're going to show you how to do all of that in the process, okay? So let's get to work, because, yeah, Beachy House Garage Live is always here. So step 1, obviously get your piston rings. All right, so we're going to open a fresh batch of piston rings right here. These are the piston rings that we use. We use Goetz. Part number is 08502900000. I use this brand specifically because it's a very good brand, and this is what OEM uses, like manufacturers use if they can't get a hold of the actual OEM ones. These are the best piston rings around for your dollar. Just hammer the piston in. Sure, 3 Bowman. Sure, that's how we do it. Oh gosh, you guys are funny. Hold on, I gotta get you guys on my phone here. Now you need this. You need what we call a feeler gauge. You also need a piston ring cutter like that to do this job. Okay. And it is a Harbor Freight jack stand. A motor stand. It's like $80, I think, for this engine stand. Best investment ever. So we're gonna open this fresh pack piston rings right now. I'm gonna get you up, guys, a little bit higher so you guys can see exactly what's going on. There we go. Very nice. It's very nice. Hey, man. What comment? No, there's no way to get that rear sway bar in easy. Those things suck. What comment, 47? My wife is the oldest village person in the whatever. All right, so they give you all your piston rings, and they're labeled. What's really cool about these, they're in order 1, 2, 3. Oil scraper, secondary compression, and then primary compression ring, all on here. Super easy to get in, super easy to take out. I love it. So what we're gonna do first is pull out the oil scraper here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the actual little tension ring right here and set that aside. Do not drop that or lose it. All right, guys? Super important. Just set it aside, okay? And what we're going to do is we're on piston number 4 or cylinder number 4. We're going to grab this piston ring and we're going to put it in gently, just like that. We're going to grab piston number 4 and we're going to go down about 2 inches from the top height. And the reason why I use the piston, because it's an exact diameter of the actual the cylinder wall. So that means I can push that piston ring straight down. Doing good, buddy. Thank you. I love my Rocco shirt. It's like one of my favorite shirts. You're going to go straight down, and now we're going to go to the Bentley manual and look up the specifications, okay, of that specific piston ring. We're going to bring you guys really quick over to the Bentley manual. Now, here is the Bentley manual. Now, they've got top compression, bottom compression, and oil scraper ring. On oil scraper ring, it gives you all the engines. You guys can see that. We're on an AWP. And our specification, brand new piston rings, is at 0.25 to 0.50 millimeters. Right underneath is the standard specifications. Okay, so metric and standard are there. Your maximum wear limit is 0.8 or 0.0315. That is our specification here. We are working in metric, so we're going to be using this bottom or second line to match our piston rings. As long as we're within this parameter, we are within specification, okay? If you are over that, cylinder diameter or over the wear limit, that means you're going to have to bore out your cylinders, all 4, and then either get number 1, bigger pistons, or number 2, oversized piston rings. But the downside of going to oversized piston rings, you have a much higher risk of losing compression quickly over time. In other words, your cylinder walls will wear faster. So the smarter thing to do is go a bigger piston and then getting the proper size piston rings for that piston that you're going to do. So for the oil scraper, we have to go 0.25 or 0.50 millimeters. So this one we're at 0.203, so we're just a bit too small. Here we go. 0.254 is our first one. We're going to go down here into the cylinder. I'm going to get you guys a close-up view. Hopefully you guys can see that. There it is right there. You can see that? That's what we're looking for. Okay? And then we're going to use our feeler gauge and see if that fits. And it's got to fit snug, not super loosey-goosey like it is right now. So if it's loose, go up a size from 2.5. Now, for us to be within specification, we have to be 2.5 or 5.0 within manufacturer specifications, okay? So now we're going up to 0.279. We're going to do it again. I'm going to go down there, and we're going to go feel that, and it's still just a tad still too loose. So we got to keep doing this until you get a right size for it. So I'm bringing up my other two sizes, 0.3 and 0.35 right here. And you guys can see this. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's hard to see. But you see it? And it's a 0.3 and 0.356. We're going to use those two to see if they match up. So 0.35, 33 didn't fit. And then 0.35 is still just a tad there. So we're getting close here. Okay, we're going to go 3.8 and 4.0. All right, so 0.38 is where it's at. And you guys can see this. I'm going to bring it down. And it goes in. But it's there snug. So 0.3 in this cylinder wall is where we're at. So that's good. It's still within specifications. Manufacturer specifications suggest 0.25 to 0.50. So we're still decent amount of meat on there. So we're good. We're very good. We're going to write down that spec. So we're at 0.38. And what you're going to do is you're going to put two hands in here, and you're going to pull that piston ring evenly as best you can on its way back up. All right, guys? So good news, that piston ring, the oil scraper, is within factory specifications, so that's good. We didn't have to grind that one down. So now we got the secondary scraper ring. So same process. Get it started. Get your piston, number 4. We're going to push it straight down. Said about 2 inches is more than enough. And now the specification for the secondary scraper is 0.2 to 0.4 millimeters. So we're going to grab our, again, feeler gauge and bring it down to 0.2. And we're going to bring it all the way back down and we're going to measure it. So 0.2 is not enough. So we're going to 2.9 and 2.5. We're going to see where we're at that. 2.9 was 2.2 and then 2.5. Nope. Gotta keep going. So that means obviously there's wear in the cylinder walls, which is normal. I mean, this engine does have over 100,000 miles, but it's been taken care of. There's a big difference. Point 0.3, then 3.0. Nope. Okay, 3.5. That's it. 0.35 is where we're at on this one. So same thing, 2 hands, and pull this slowly up. All right, so now we're on the last top compression ring. Now, keep in mind that we're within the brand new tolerance for brand new piston rings on this motor. So good news is that this motor has very, very little wear done to it. If you think about it, we're within factory range for the piston rings. So that's super, super cool that we can say that, because if a lot of people who don't take care of their motors, these cylinders are usually off round or they're angled down. They just not there. Now, this is one of the issues that I've noticed, and we might have to order new piston rings to finish this block, but I'm going to confirm it right now. Because when you order piston rings, sometimes they're not 100%. You know, you're supposed to be able to scrape them. Sometimes they come nice, banging, have fun. You got to make sure that this guy is perfectly flat on its way down. That way you can confirm that your miking or your gauging is accurate. So gauging from this, we are just barely to specification on the top compression ring. We just made it at 0.4. So we are still within factory specifications for this. Whew. Which is 0.4. Not bad. If you were outside of the range, I'd say 1,000th. I'd say like half a thousandth would be like out of range for me. That's too much. You would have to bore this engine and oversize everything or go to bigger. But we are within spec, so it's a big, big plus. So what I like to do is I like to write everything down that I do, and I just do a quick comparison um, how they all turned out. But I also write down what cylinder it belongs to. This one is 4. So what I do is I check my numbers. 383540 on cylinder 4. 382 and 2. 337, 35, 35. And the other one I tossed. It's already installed it. So we're very minimal wear on here, which is very, very good. Again, for an older engine with 100 plus thousand miles on it, that's not bad. We are still within factory specifications. That means we can put an engine together. We are there. We are good. So now we're going to put some pistons in. We're going to do some rod bearings and then drop some pistons in. All right. Give me a second and we'll get a rag so we can do that. There we go. Okay, so cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the reason why I count this one because it's always left to right, not right to left. This right here is the front of the engine because this is where the water pump is. Okay, this is the back of the motor because this is where the flywheel and the transmission made up. So in the order of the cylinders, it's cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every cylinder that came out of this engine piston that came out in that order, and we labeled them in that specific order. So we got our new rods here with Integrated Engineering rods. We're going to be with ARP hardware. So we're going to take apart our rods here and install some new bearings. So we're going to bring you over here to my workstation, or aka just the parts table. Get you guys as close as I can so you guys can see what's going on. There we go. So here we are. You're going to need a hammer. Pretty straightforward. The rods were only $400, man. They're not that expensive. So, well, we got to make sure that your bearing surface is 100% dry. You do not lubricate these. There better not be any oil on this at all, or else your bearings will actually do what they call what we call a spun bearing or a rod bearing. So, and you you just want to clean this. If you have some solvent like brake cleaner, go for it. And it won't hurt it. That's strong. Again, you just want to clean the bearing surface, and you want it of any type of oil or contaminants. It's very, very important because you don't want these bearings to move at all during your install or during anything in general. So get them as clean and dry as possible as you can. Okay. One thing that I pondered a lot, especially when I was talking to IE, the direction of the rod itself. And there isn't a direction. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. So when installing your rods onto the piston, it doesn't matter which way they are installed. They are evenly balanced for that purpose. Meaning this rod, when you install it into the actual piston, it doesn't matter if you have it this way or this way. It's exactly the same on both sides. Okay, guys? One thing you do have to remember, direction of the main cap or the rod cap, the numbers do match. Well, there you go. Now you understand what it means. Just hammer it in. Okay, so the rod caps are numbered, and the numbers match both sides. That I did ask IE, and that was very important, that the numbers do have to be on the same side. Okay, guys? All right, now it's time for rod bearings. Since we cleaned that one in up. Now we're using calico again, coated rod bearings, because we're building the high performance motor. So we got to make sure these rod bearings are good. Here's the part number for them, 4B1606H. These are factory specification rod bearings because our crank met factory specifications when they measured everything at the machine shop. I did not do any of the measuring at here. I'm not that good with plastic gauge, but the machine shop knows what they're doing, so I let them do that. I'm definitely good at gapping pistons. They're not that hard. So again, make sure your hands are clean of any contaminants. And what you're going to do here, again, follow the notch. You're going to put your bearing in nice and slow. And with two hands, kind of give it a push in, just like that. Okay? Make sure that they're on super flat. Okay? Very, very carefully. You are now allowed to install what we call assembly lube on top of the bearing. Not on the bottom, on top of the actual bearing. Just remember that, okay, guys? So now we're going to dump a little bit of the Lucas assembly lube on here. Just a little bit. Not a lot because I don't want it to run. And the reason why I got to put a little bit on here is because when we drop it down, to the block, I don't want it to hit any metal surfaces. It's definitely not necessary, but I like to do it. It's worked for me great. Again, it's just smeared on. You don't need to pour it on. You don't want this to run. You don't want this to be runny, okay? So now we're going to install your piston. Okay, the most important step here, and I'm going to show you guys super up close, your orientation. Okay, remember, we got to look at the engine forward. That's correct. So one thing you guys got to understand is the installation of the piston. There's one way that they go in, and you'll notice there's an arrow. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys because you guys need to see this. It's very, very important. So now, you guys see this right here? This is the front of the block. If you were looking at it inside of a Mark IV, the block is right here. So now we're looking at cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right? This is piston number 1. It goes into cylinder 1. Okay? The way that this goes in, there's a little gap. See this little notch right here? Oh, there we go. Little notch. Okay? That always faces the back of the motor. Okay? Not the front, the back. That's the orientation of this piston. Okay, now the most super vital step before installing the piston is the orientation at each piston ring. They cannot be within each other's vicinity. So turn a full 90 degree, the gap, in other words, the gap where the piston ring sits, they cannot be next to each other. So what I do is about 90, about 100 degrees over for the top one. I do the middle compression about 90 degrees straight up, and then the lower oil scraper one, complete opposite to the right, like that. So that way none of the 3 piston rings are within the same orientation. Okay? And this is super vital because that way whenever you do the installation, there's no gap ever between each piston ring. What I mean by gap, like this hole doesn't match the other hole. They stay away from each other always at all times. Okay. Once this sits down in the motor, these piston rings will never rotate. They'll stay wherever they are. Okay. So now the next step is to use a piston ring compressor. Okay. And this is like the most hardest part of the job. So I'm going to get you guys up higher to show you. There we go. So piston number 1, remember that. We're still there. Exactly. All engines are the same. They work the same. They're just different models. So I got to confirm my orientation one more time. Okay. And then we're going to use our piston compression tool here, which I hate oh so much. What I do is I put a rag down in here. I got to turn the engine. There you go. What I do is I put a rag down below, or in the freaking hole here. No, I need my smaller rag, so yeah. So we're going to drop this down just a little bit so I can set it there. If I had my buddy freaking Ray here, it'd be so much faster. And then I'm just going to get this close, not closed yet. I need to get it out so I can get that good. And then take this back out. This is like the most annoying part for me. Okay. So remember your orientation where your piston's going to go? Make sure you leave a little room on the skirt of the piston to go down, so you know it's sitting there correctly and it's oriented in the right direction as well. Because when it falls down, you want to be able to not have it drop all the way down and damage the what's it called, the rod bearing. So I'm going to throw some rag down below and cram it into the piston here. I mean into the cylinder, so it doesn't fall into it, just for safe. And then you're going to grab your mighty little hammer and you're legitimately going to make sure this thing is as tight as possible on here. because this takes a couple tries. It doesn't like happen at once. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab it, keep it steady, and you're going to literally just bang it. Make sure you have a wooden hammer or a rubber one. Do not use a metal one against your piston. You will damage it, and that's it. Hold on. Oops. My bad. Something just came to mind. So I did give you guys wrong information, but I'll tell you right now in just a moment. Let me get this in here, okay? But I totally it just brain farted. So, but I'll tell you right now what just happened. Nothing bad. Just my orientation was just off. Okay. There you go. Piston number 1 in. Now, what I wanted to show you guys what I was wrong on, and I should have corrected myself ahead of time. The actual notch for the piston is actually the front of the motor, not the back of the motor. Sorry, I forgot again. You know, it's just been a while since I've done this one, but yeah, we're in. So now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna flip the block upside down and mount that. Remember to keep your hand on here just in case it wants to slide down, slide out, because it does happen. They're not in there super tight, but they are in there. Okay, that's locked. Put your hand underneath. Make sure that piston doesn't slide out or move out of its way. Now what you're going to do not rotate the crank anymore. And get your finger down in there and push the piston up by hand. Do not like turn the crank into it. Do not do that. You can damage that so quick. What you want to do is push that piston so it mates into the crank. Work your way slowly and slowly until it's there. All right. So now we're officially crank to rod now mated. Next thing is remember where your numbers are on the rod. So our numbers are over here. You're gonna grab your bottom main cap for the rod or the rod cap. Same process. Get them nice and snug together. Okay, just a minor amount of assembly lube. Again, just enough to put a smidge on it. You don't need to cover, like soak it in assembly lube. It's nothing. Like I kid you not, it's nothing. It's just okay. Find your numbers. Match them up. Push them straight down. Now, on ARP's website, you have to use the ARP grease that goes on these bolts when you're using ARP hardware. And I'm going to show you guys that in just a moment. For these two bolts. Okay? I'm not going to torque these down yet until we get all 4 pistons done. But right there, you just saw 1 piston in and 3 to go. There you go. And it's this stuff right here from ARP. It's called Factory Fastener Assembly Lubrication. It's like a special Loctite that they use. No, anti-seize. I'm sorry. Like it's an anti-seize that they use for their hardware, and you have to use it on all their hardware. It's like a, you can see it's kind of a black grayish color. It's very minimal that goes on the bolt. There's not a lot that's required. Just a smidge. And just run them all the way down by hand. User Pike, yeah, George on Malacca, yeah, has his VR. It doesn't sound like a VR anymore, though, to be honest with you. Sounds great, though. But those things are massive turbos, though. Just keep in mind. Making 800 horsepower plus on those cars. So you saw we gapped piston rings. We installed a piston. We got all installed. So now we're going to go back and do cylinder number 2. I've known George from Malacca Motorsports for a very long time. Before he actually had a VR6 in his S4, in his B5 S4, when he actually had a 2 KO4s on it, and then he had a single big turbo on his 2.7T, and then he went to a VR6. All right, so now we're going to install piston rings on a piston on cylinder number 2. So let's do that. I'm going to move this out of the way so you guys can see that up and close with me. Let me get you guys over there on my little shitty chair workstation. Hey man, when you're on a budget, anything is comfortable. All right, so okay. So here's piston number 2, piston ring kit. I'm going to walk you through on how to install this. Very, very simple. Okay. After you remove the little ring here, you need to put it back in before you put it on the piston. Make sure that's on here. By all means, don't lose it or stretch it. It's super important that that does not get affected in any way. Okay. Making sure there's no contaminants in this thing. It's good. Okay. So exactly. Whatever works, man. So piston rings and installing them These are scary. Honestly, these are one of the scariest things to install because they're not strong. They're super fragile. If you pull them, if you open them the wrong way, they just snap. So we got to be super careful. Usually I go left to right or back to front, and I walk them on ever so gently. I wish I had the tool to do this. There's a really cool tool that does this so easy. So we walk it down. We weren't supposed to do that. Here we go. This is the only piston ring I hate the most out of all the piston rings. All the other ones are pretty easy to install, except for this one. And I don't know why. There we go. Nope, there we're not. There we go. Remember, just take your time. Usually these go in a lot easier, but they're a pain. That was a fun drive. Okay, now we're on compression ring 2. Now there's a specific way that this compression ring goes on. Good piston rings are actually labeled. This is the top. So that means this goes facing up. They are specific. They are directional. These piston rings are very directional. So make sure you remember which way you put them in and which direction they went in. Same thing, top to front or back to front. And push them around. Hey, babe. Oh, I'm live, just so you know. Okay, bottom ring is about to be installed. Tiny's on. Say hi to Tiny.
Hey, Tiny. Are your orders late?
Okay, second ring installed. And we're down to the last, and the top compression ring is next. Okay. And Tiny, Carlene says, sorry that your order's late. It's been hectic for us here because of Corona. A lot of the stuff that we ordered for you to get it done is actually on delay. So it's getting there. Materials have been very, very delayed for us. Okay.
Albie on.
I don't think Albie's on. I don't know. He didn't mention anything. But if you are on Albie, your order is out, right? Yeah, it went out today, man. Your big box of stuff, over a ton of stuff. All right, so piston number 3 is done. Again, we're gonna spin here, Top compression ring, I'd say about a good 15 degrees over. Secondary ring, complete opposite of that one. And then your oil ring, opposite of that one. That way they never meet each other, ever. Perfect. So now I put the top compression ring to the center of this, and then the secondary compression ring opposite to the left, and then the oil ring opposite of that one to the right. And that's it. So now we tear this apart. Again, take your rod bolt out. It's going to smell a little bit, just so you know that. It's going to smell like brake cleaner.
Crack the door.
No? It goes away pretty quick. So we clean the bottom of the rod bearing again. I mean bottom of the rod, and make sure we're free of any oil contaminants. So the new rod bearing sits there nice and dry. Very vital step of building or installing your pistons. Okay. A little bit of lube. And not a lot. Gotta coat it. A little bit goes a long way. Okay. So now, get our piston ring compressor again. Okay. So now that you got it up there, your goal is to get these legitimately as tight as possible. All right. We're going to show you guys this again in just a moment. Now we're going to do a close-up. There you go. So I compressed the piston rings as tight as I could. I'm going to try to go a little bit tighter again. One thing you're going to have to pay attention to is making sure that it's perfectly round in there. This is not the best tool to do this with. There are better ones out there. But, you know, you deal with what you can get locally, unfortunately. All right, so we got that. Again, this might work. I don't think it's going to work because it's not in there evenly. And I can see that already. Well, give me luck here. Ah, made it through. Oh yeah. A little snug. Let me see. Let's turn this around. It's not going down. I think we hit something down below. Let's double check. No, other way. Yep. Dang it. This is why. Here we go. Let's see here. Make sure we didn't damage anything. Nope. Don't see any scratches. No damage here. Looks like the rod went in at a little bit of a sideways, and it just hit the side of the crank where it prevented it from going all the way down, which is a positive note for me because that means no damage. Oh, it's so scary. Because if you scratch a rod bearing, that's the end. You got to get a new rod bearing. You can't just, they can't get scratched. That's a super important thing. So now we got this rod bearing. Numbers match, 599, 599. Dump, like I said, a smidge of assembly lube. Not a lot. I mean, I can show you up close how much lube we're doing. Very minimal. Very, very minimal. It's just enough to coat the bearing. That's it. Lube is good. So, get your rod bolts again, clean them off. If there's anything on them. Then we use the ARP fastener bolt grease. Not very much is needed. See that? We're going to use that for 2 bolts. Looks like a tad more for the second one. All right, now we're on piston number 3. So bring this bad boy back around. All right. Now this is a good time for questions for Q&A while I work on the next piston. Oh. Did she wake up? My daughter's been restless this week. Hopefully nothing's wrong. All right, so we're now working on piston number 3. So again, if you guys have any questions, please ask me now. Now's a good time to talk and, conversate while I work. What's my favorite color? Ooh. In color in what though? Like in car or just in general? That's a very weird question to ask. Like if it's just in general. If it's just in general, blue. I'm a blue person. I love blue and black. I can work with anything in between blue and black, like different shades of blue, different shades of black, gray, obviously, but all those colors in between, like that. I love those colors. It's one of my favorite colors. And then you wonder, why is my car white? Because white cars are so much easier to own and maintain. I would love to have a black car all day. But I don't want to deal with the maintenance of a black car. I would love to have a blue car. I mean, honestly, blue car is like my dream color to own in a car. I love blue. Much better. See? That went in nicely. Oh, old school 16 valve jelly. What color we're going to paint the Gaudis? We're actually not going to paint them. We're actually going to polish them. That's what we decided. My wife decided. We're going to polish them and probably going to go with like polished hardware too. My wife's car, so that's her decision. And she really liked the polished look on those wheels. So I think that's what we're going to go with, is polished polished color on the Gaudis, or polished finish. Why does that sound terrible? That we're going to polish the Gaudis. Tell me. Have you seen them, what they look like polished? They're gorgeous. I hate you. Yes, it is a lot of work. Not gonna lie. What happened? Huh?
It's close to the end.
Oh.
We're over.
Tanya doesn't like what you decided on the wheels on your car.
Just jealous.
Hi, you heard that, Tiny? She just said you're just jealous. I hope you heard that. Ian, yes, it is. Ian's on here too.
You're talking about the black on silver? Or black
Your wheels.
Black on black?
No, you said we're gonna do all polish.
What?
That's what you agreed on.
I thought it was black.
You want it all black?
I don't remember now. I have to look again. That one picture you showed me.
Yeah. Tiny says if you want to trade wheels.
What you got?
Tiny, send her a picture of what you got. Don't send it to me. Send it to her. You guys are friends on Facebook, right?
I think so. You can friend me. I know you.
Speak up a little bit louder.
I said you can friend me. I know you.
There you go. You heard it from her, Tiny. You straight out heard it from her. She'll look at him. He did send you, huh?
Yeah.
So she did. Tiny, good job, Tiny. You friended her.
Denied.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I just accepted.
Denied him on live on YouTube.
I accepted.
I know. Just messing.
And you sent them to me. What are they?
They're beautiful. That's what they are.
You see them?
Yeah, no, I know what they look like. Yeah. Yeah, they're Schmitz.
Schmidt?
Schmitz.
Never heard of them.
Things are freaking beautiful.
Schmidt?
Ray says, hi, Carrene. Or, hi, Car Rene.
Rene.
Yeah, he spelled it R-E-N-E.
Hey, Ray Ray.
You gotta speak up louder, but it's hard
Hi,
to
Ray
hear.
Ray.
There you go. Because the mic is turned to me.
Retro wheels for classic cars. Like that? Yeah, it looks like it. So that is. It's not on here.
What are you looking for?
Trying to see if I can see it in another image.
It's the one on top left.
This?
Yep. Tiny, she's Google searching the wheels right now. She's actually very interested. I'm impressed.
Is it two-piece?
Mm-hmm. Just like ours.
I like this other one on here.
She's already interested in different wheels.
I miss the mirrors.
Yeah. Oh, Tiny says they're 3-piece. So even better.
I'll think about it.
She says she'll think about it, Tiny. So it's kind of a no.
They're kind of cool though. I don't know what they look like on the car though.
Look them up.
I see it here.
Yeah, look up the name of that wheel. What's the name of it? Modern Line. So look up Schmidt Modern Line MK on MK2. That's it. That's how you do it.
What happened? Lost baby. Is this?
Let me see.
That's not. No, that's a newer one. That's not it.
Those are concave. Same wheel, but concave. That's not it. No, we did not raise the compression ratio on this. We are 100% stock on the compression ratio.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it. She's already looking up the pictures of the wheels on her car, Tiny. Look what you started. We were happy with Gotti's.
What's ours?
Gotti. G-O-T-T-I. G-O-T-T-I, yeah, Gotti. On MK2. I mean, they're both beautiful wheels, so I can't complain.
We have a spice stroke, right?
Yeah, Gotti, right there. Let me see. That's it.
Yeah, but a band going on.
Mhm. A lot of people use those wheels. It's actually a popular wheel because it's beautiful.
That one. This. Look.
Mhm.
That.
Yeah, that's right. See? Mm.
Similar.
They look similar, yes, but they're not.
Except the other ones are a little fatter or wider.
Yeah, the Gottis are wider.
No.
And yeah.
No, the Gottis aren't wider. Look. They're thin compared to the Smith.
Oh yeah, they are. Huh. They look the same to me.
I think I like the thinner one. Look at this thing. Ugh.
That's a caddy. Yeah, they had those in Europe. That's what got replaced from the truck. Go look up a Mark 6 caddy. They're gorgeous. That's ugly. But MK6 VW caddy in Europe. Oh my god. Bagged. Woo! Woo! All right.
I got this.
Yeah.
No.
But that's stock.
No, but no.
They look ugly stock.
See this thing.
Yeah, that's stock. That's ugly. That's not a pretty car.
Man. Let's keep working on it.
Hmm? All right. We're on piston or cylinder number 3 on our way down. Yeah, see, Tiny has them too tiny. They're too small. Our Gaudis are 9 or 9.5 square because we're going for a wider stance on our Mark II. So now I'm on my way down. Oh, I gotta show you guys from the top. I just show you this. Up you guys go again. Woo! There you go. Good view. Okay. Hold down. Make sure we're as nice and close to the pistons wall, cylinder wall. And then down we go. Piston number 3, or cylinder number 3, done. Rotate. This thing's getting heavier and heavier every time we put something in it. All right, grab this piston and just push it straight up. Let it meet to the crank. Get our other rod bearing down. She fell back asleep.
It's like, oh.
All right, guys. I got time for questions while I'm putting this together. Please ask some questions. We already went through this, so I'm not going to explain this portion of what we're doing because we just did this. What happened?
Remember when I was trying to use the Toaster's website?
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that I've authorized the payment to go through twice. Nice. Can you give me a phone?
754-708. Yeah, they're super backlogged. Keep in mind that there are factories in China that manufactures their rods. So they're going to be backlogged since China is not. A lot of people are dying. So, yeah, there's not a lot of workers. So, yeah, it's going to be a while before you can get your parts from them. We got lucky because I'm using actually my set of rods, my set of brand new rods for Ian, and he ordered my rods. And contaminated, yeah. So my concern right now is this one. This one didn't go all the way down. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, that I don't know if they rifle drill them in house, but I mean I do know they all their rods come from China. George, how much horsepower can this setup handle? Currently in this state, using SuperTech valve train and integrated engineering rods with factory pistons, 500 horsepower for the bottom end, 400 horsepower for the top end, 450 give or take. Any more than that, then you're gonna have to upgrade the pistons and upgrade your springs on the head if you want to make more power than 400. Put it that way. Um, okay, last piston. For banging, use stock. You don't need any more than bigger than stock on exhaust valves. The only reason you're gonna go bigger on a stock exhaust valves if you're gonna port and polish it. But if not, just stick with stock. You're fine. One more piston to go. Exactly. Valves don't do good if they float. And on AWP, the heads, again, don't go over 400 horsepower because they will float. You will float a valve. That's pretty common. After 400, you need to, like I said, build the whole valve train, upgrade the springs, update the retainers and the keepers, and then you will prevent your head from floating, or your valves from floating because of how fast you're spinning. That pretty much that head. So it's very true. If you're trying to go over 600 horsepower user pike, yeah, you need to invest a lot of money into that head, a lot of money. Port and polishing, and obviously the whole valve train. That's super doable. That's for sure. That's correct. Larger valves are an advantage with with way more horsepower because you're porting, you're allowing for more air and stuff. So 600 horsepower is a ton of power. Definitely not something I would daily personally, but I mean it'd be super cool. I mean I would love to daily something like that, but again, not something I'm in the market for. I'm more in the market of something reliable, fun, and it would definitely scare somebody with a 400 horsepower anything Volkswagen because people think VWs are slow. And I like to keep it that way. I like to let them think that we're still slow. It just feels good. And then their faces when they see just us pulling. Tiny, what's better, drift car, drag car? A canyon car is actually better. Build a car for canyon, and you will love your car. That's correct, user Pike, but Tiny, best way to build a canyon car, a lot of money in suspension. That's pretty much it. You don't need a lot of money on the rest of the car. Spend all your money on suspension and brakes. That's pretty much it. Um, that's how you build a canyon car, or AKA a car that can drive, like take turns like no tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, they don't need a lot of horsepower. You don't even need that much horsepower, honestly. 200 is enough for a canyon car. You're not going that fast. You know, if you're trying to compete with motorcycles and stuff, then that's a whole other thing. You know, but for me, 200 horsepower with a very, very good front and rear sway bar. Definitely either a roll cage or a half cage to stiffen the whole entire body from roll. And pretty much a decent amount of camber, 2 degrees front and rear. Uh, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Canyon cars to me are probably the best builds in general. You don't need aerodynamics. You just need skills and good suspension and brakes. Brakes, I think, are probably your biggest life-saving asset out of that whole entire build. Because again, you're driving in a canyon, you can definitely die falling off a canyon. I think half cages are great. HP does matter going up hills, but honestly, torque is where Volkswagens win, especially for canyon driving. I'd rather take torque all day over horsepower, just because I can pull out of those corners way faster than a car with a million horsepower. Um, if you ever watch, there's a really cool driver who drives legitimately a stock MK6 Jetta Sport Wagon diesel with just a tune and like $2,000 or $3,000 in suspension, and he's keeping up with like 300-400 horsepower, freaking 350Zs, Datsuns, Miatas with no problems. And he's a driving instructor, and and it's one of the things that you gotta understand, that torque is what matters, honestly, to me when it comes down to canyon driving. I've kept up with my little Mark IV on low boost, making 220, 250 all day with 300 horsepower cars. Now, if I was keeping up with, like, say, all-wheel drive cars, I'm not going to say I did. I did kept up with stock all-wheel drive cars, but when it comes down to like built all-wheel drive cars, no, not even close. I can't keep up with those cars at all. All-wheel drive is where it's at when it comes to canyon driving. That's correct. Torque gets you going, HP keeps you going. But when it comes to canyons, you're only going so fast for so long, and then you're slowing back down, and that torque is what you need to keep it going, because you're slowing down all the time. You're never going very fast for a very long amount of time. Again, it all depends on the canyons you're definitely driving, that's for sure. I know, Tiny, we need to go cruising. Definitely, buddy.
6 feet apart.
Yeah, again, 6 feet apart, so you'll be in your own car. I think we need to create a group out here to do some Volkswagen Canyon driving. Just a group of people to go driving out. Small group that we don't have to worry about getting in trouble with cops and stuff. Obviously, keep walkie-talkies and stuff too. So, yeah, bigger brakes are for sure. Oh yeah, definitely old school. I mean, I would love to build an engine for high acceleration and deceleration, but when you're on a budget, you can't do all that as easily as one would love to. You know, not hard to do, but it's not cheap, especially when you want to get into a car with that revs super quick. And 1.8Ts are not known for revving quick. That's for sure. They're one of the slower revving motors out there. Now, 16 valve, whoo! Dude, those things can rev to high hell. I would love to build a 16 valve motor with some really good cams. Oh my God, those things rev so fast. One of my favorite motors. However, one of my also hated motors because they're so unrealistically over. The fueling system is just so overcomplicated. Not a fan. But when people carburate them, oh, I love them. Carb 16 valve, oh, so good. Banging for, I would prefer all-wheel drive for canyon driving. But then I gotta own an Audi. And I don't like Audis, they're overpriced. All right. Down to the last piston. Subaru, no. I don't want to deal with freaking spun rods all day. Unless it's like an old Bug-Eye. But then it's an ugly Subaru with no power unless you put a lot of money into it. Honestly, if I'm going to get an all-wheel drive car, I get like an Audi 500, an older Audi, you know, like an S4. I would love an R32, but I can go buy an, oh, you know what? I can go buy just a cheap Audi A4 with the 1.8T and just build that, and I'll have a fun all-wheel drive car. You don't need a lot of, again, you don't need a lot of power. Yeah, I know they're carb fuel injection, but I'm just not a fan of their setup. I'd rather take just a full-on, just dual carbureted 16 valve. Instant acceleration. Freaking rev for no tomorrow. I mean, they rev like crazy. One of my favorite motors. Again, but I don't like them. Just not the way I like it. It's not the, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Audis are cool, but they're just super expensive to maintain, and their maintenance is just so often, and it's not cheap. You know, 3.0Ts, the V8s, they're just so expensive to own. It's not even cool, you know? It's just like Like, oh, I want a cool Audi. Yeah, but then if you want a cool Audi and you're gonna have cool Audi money, and I don't have cool Audi money. Not bad.
No.
We have cheap Volkswagen money.
How do I change this thing?
Huh?
How do you change the tabs on the bottom?
How?
Yeah.
Those are the bookmark tabs. What are you trying to do?
How do you change some of them out?
Well, those are synced to my account. So no. Just add to it.
They don't pop up though.
I'll show you how to do it. Oh yeah, we're outdated, but you know what? They're so much fun. So much fun, and
they're still manual drive.
And you can still, they're manual transmission, and they're cheap, and you can still buy so many parts for them. It's not even funny. As long as you know where to shop, you can get so much. Audi TT is pretty much an overpriced GTI with a really, really crappy all-wheel drive system. The Audi TT's Quattro system is so bad, it's not even funny. So many of them are broken. That's why you don't see people building them, because they break all the time. The Halodex is actually more old school on the R32s than it is on the TT, and they're way more reliable. Yeah. All right, last piston, guys. See if I'm 4 for 4. I'm getting them all in at one try. Hell yeah! 4 for 4. Woo! I've never had all 4 pistons go in on me without having one go, like, not go in. I'm so lucky tonight. Everything has gone pretty well. Yeah, knock on wood. It's too far. There you go. Yeah, synchro. Woo! Synchros are dope because they don't. Those are old school all-wheel drive systems. You want to talk about reliable? That stuff is bulletproof because it's so old school, like all-wheel drive system. No, don't say the piston fell out. I got it perfectly in line. Don't freaking give me bad luck here, man. This has gone super smooth. Ray, that actually would have been funny. It would have been funny, Ray, and it would suck. All right? Exactly. The machine shop didn't do something right. It would suck if one of the piston rings broke. Oh my god, that would so suck. Because then you gotta wait for another order of piston rings, and God knows when those are gonna come in. Because everything we make literally comes from China. I hope that changes for now, since all this is happening. So I gotta look up the torque specs for these because you cannot use factory torque specs on these. You gotta use integrated engineering torque specs on these rods. So give me a minute, because these do not use again. These do not use factory torque specs. They use IE's specs. All right. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna go get the torque specs for this and the actual socket, and then we're gonna torque these all down. Okay. Be right back. Specs for this thing. Okay, looked it up. So no, there are 50 foot-pounds on all the bolts. Now, as per Integrated Engineering's website, you torque them down 3 times. 50, back them out, 50, back them out, and 50, and that's it. So that's per their website. So I'll be right back in just a moment. I gotta find the socket for it. Okay, so the 12.11. Okay, so 12.11 millimeters, 11 millimeter socket. And again, I'm going off of IE's website. So 50 foot-pounds, and you put them on 3 times. Take them off, put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off. That's it. Put them back on. All right. Put on the stand. Back it off. Back on. Back it off. That's 2. Tiny, maybe. Depends on how much time I got. All right, that's 1. Okay. Two. And last, not least, 3. So cylinder 1 is done. Now we're going to go over to cylinder number 4. Because they're the two, pretty much 2 already all the way down. So we're going to be doing that in that order. Taking my torque wrench. One. Back out. 2. Push it back. And 1 more time. 3. 1. 2. 3. Now crank the motor over. Come on. Such an odd angle. There you go. Then we're going to go cylinder 2 and cylinder 3. Oh, man. Cry me a river, Tiny. Ball joints and control arms. That should have been done in like an hour. All right, 1. I just put a block together, dude. And you're complaining about control arms and tie rods. Two. And then the last break loose. Okay, three. One. The rest of the stuff is super quick. Just screwing things together. This was the hardest part, those two things. That's two. The rest is all you just bolt it, torque it to spec, call it done. Put some RTV here and there. Three. To me, it's pretty done. And the rest of the stuff is just busy work. One. Two. Thank you, Bang It. I would love a beer. You know what? I need a beer. Okay, that was three. I will get a beer after because I don't want to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Two. Ah. The last one. Three. Woo. 4 pistons installed. 4 rods. 4 rod bearings. 2, 4, 6, 8 rod bolts. We did it all together, guys, and it's spinning nice and freely now. So now the next thing is to do the bottom. We actually got to do the oil pump, the rear main seal, front main seal, and all that. So you know, which is not hard. We cleaned out the I'll show you. I did a chemical clean on the oil pump, and then we gauged it right here. 9172. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, crap. I don't know which one's the latest one. 091723. Yes, we will verify end play. There should be some, but very minimal. I will be doing that later because I got to look up the specification for that. Number 2, we did clean the oil pump here, and then we definitely measured the gap or the amount of play that we're supposed to have inside the oil pump. That's all on the actual Bentley guide. Super cool. So this guy we're gonna put together in really quick. This guy mounts like these. I remember where it went. It's been a long time since I've no, it mounts this way. I gotta find the tensioner too. And then we gotta get the new O-ring that sits here. Yes, I should get the yeah, I should do it. Yeah, right. Let me find the end play really quick. Give me a second here. You are smart. Let's do it. Let's do some research on our Bentley book. Let's see here. So let's go to the pistons here. Let's look up crank end play. Let's see here. Here you go. No, that's not it. If you can look up the end play for me, I'm trying to find it.
Mission Out of Body sent you more.
Okay, good. I need to talk to him tomorrow, anyways. I don't have the spec for end play in here, so if someone has it, please. I need the actual end play, the left and right measurement. If you guys have that, please provide it. I'm gonna look it up really quick. The side clearance. If I'm reading this correctly, no, side clearance, 0.07 to 0.23 on gasoline engines. 0.30 is the maximum. Is that correct, guys? I don't know if it was ever. I think that's right. Right? I think that's what I'm looking at. The axial size end play, 0.07 to 0.23. I think that's correct. So let me get my gauge here. I mean, this is thin, really thin. 0.027. Oh. We confirm this, but So cylinder 3, we're within specification. Okay. No, I don't have a dial indicator, unfortunately. I wish I had those kind of fancy tools. But reading on here, we are within spec on this one. Cylinder 2, 178, still within specification. Take off this pump really quick. Any tighter than that, it's not going to go in. And your end is your left and right movement. Have a good one, Tiny. There we go. Yeah, 0.2 on the cylinder 4. And it's 0.2 on cylinder number 1. It's 0.25. Yeah, so 0.2 here, and then we're at 0.175. So if I read that correctly, we are within specifications. One zero to 0.31. I mean, we're still within the specs of that, so that's good. Yeah, we're still all within that spec there, so I'm pretty happy with that on the rods, if that's correct. Oh shit! This fell out. It's pretty important. The next step is pretty much assembling the bottom end, making sure we're completely oil free all around the bottom. Rear main seal, front main seal, rear main seal. User pike, I don't think it's 167. Is it 13A-18 for user pike? I think that's what I'm looking at. I mean, it says it on here, side clearance, end play. And for gasoline engine, it's 0.07 to 0.23. That's what I'm reading right now. Oh, okay, it's very different. But yeah, I think that's what I'm reading, and that's what it says here. So yeah, we're still within specifications, which is very good. So I'm happy to say that this block is done. We're going to end it tonight, and we're going to do part 3. Part 3, we'll be doing the head. We'll be mating the head to the block and showing you guys how extremely difficult it is to put an ARP crank gear on, crank gear bolt. So that's also going to be going, because I need 3 people to do that. That's one of the hardest bolts to put on this engine. Easiest bolts to get there, but the hardest to actually put on because of how much force goes on to that bolt. So I very, very much appreciate you guys tuning in today. My episode of Pinchal's Garage Live. And I'm Pinchal. And we're going to be doing part 3 of the block. Probably, let's say, I probably want to do it tomorrow. Finish the entire assembly tomorrow. I'm gonna finish up on the oil pan and all that tonight. Pretty quick. It's that process. I have it all filmed on my previous video, so I'm not gonna walk you through that. But we walked you through live. I'm building the block. That's the easiest part. I mean, the hardest part. The rest of it literally just bolts on, torque to spec, and put it on. I mean, it's nothing hard to do on the rest of this portion. I thought that was. I actually did that once. I didn't know. We need a pretty big breaker bar. I don't want to damage the transmission. I can do it on the stand. We did it last time. It's not hard. It's just we just need more than one person to do it. So again, thank you again, everyone. Please be safe out there. It's a lot of people are dying, and dying because they're not making smart decisions on just following the simple rules of COVID-19. I know this is stupid and redundant, but please be safe. You don't understand. I like you guys. I like you guys tuning in and asking stuff, and just for you guys to get sick and get hurt yourselves or just dying out of something stupid. Would be very, very sad. For me, you guys. So please be safe out there. One thing I'm going to give you guys a heads up on. Hold on. If I can get one of these off. I'm making these for everybody. They're free. These are front mask supports. Face mask supports. These are free. Follow my YouTube, my Instagram, or my Facebook. I'm giving these supports out. It's for your mask. It just holds on the back of your head and makes it easy. Puts the relief off your ears. 100% free. I obviously will charge you to ship it, but if you guys are local, I will give you guys a set for free. They're just for you guys to have. I'm making thousands of these, and I've been giving them away. I've been giving them away everywhere. Oh.
You get away with the help of everyone that's donated.
Yeah. We also, if you guys can donate, please donate to help pay for supplies and just pay for materials that we need to keep these machines going for this process. But I know you guys get annoyed at hearing it, but honestly, I won't stop hearing it enough because it is important. It is important to me and it's important to everybody else to stay safe and stay healthy. It would suck if you guys lost somebody or
we have our baby.
And we have a baby, and I don't want to lose my grumpy baby right now. Or anybody in general to something that could have been so severely, quickly, easily, how can you say this, preventable. But enough of that. Thank you again for tuning in. We will finish this up tomorrow. I promise. Same time, same channel, and we're gonna get it done together. I'm gonna do the little bits here and there, but I will get you guys going. Use your Pike. I am fulfilling all the online orders as fast as I can. You should be seeing them anytime this week. Okay? I've been shipping a ton of stuff today, and we shipped out a ton of stuff today, and we ship a lot of stuff tomorrow.
A lot of large orders
from hospitals. We've been getting a lot of large orders from hospitals. Those are my primary people to give to first, and then everybody else right after that. Okay?
But that might be why you need them too.
And it might be, you might be needed for the hospital. Don't worry, go get them. We'll get them as fast as you can, okay? Thank you, everybody. Again, as always here at Pinch House Garage, if you see another fellow dubber on the road, give him a thumbs up, peace sign, mad respect, much love. And again, as always here, we're going to break, fix, and repeat. Peace out, and be safe out there.